Rightio, guys, welcome back. Court 1, Day 5 at the 4th CMAS Age Group World Champions here at the Doon Kennedy Hobart Aquatic Centre in Tasmania. 1 minute 30 to go until Australia under-23 men kick off against GB under-23 men. Both teams sitting in the bottom 5 of the ladder. Australia in 6th position at the moment, having played 6 and won 3 and lost 3. 21 goals for, 10 against. GB standing at number 7, just one behind Australia on the listings. Played 6, won 2, lost 4 with 26 goals for and 15 against. So Australia with 9 points, GB with 6 in what is shaping up to be a very close match, a very close encounter. I'm Parko, and joining me here in the commentary box is one of our previous Australian women elite teams and stalwart of underwater hockey here in Tasmania, Natalie Wickham. How are you, Nat?
Hey, thanks, Stu. Makes me sound really old. I think I actually might be. Yep. Yeah, into the Masters competition now. The elites are just a bit of a shadowy memory. No, they're not. 6 of those under my belt, though, Stu. How many have you had? How many gigs have you done?
I think I've played 5 Worlds now. So hopefully I'll get 6 before I have even a remote think about retiring to the dizzying heights of the Masters League. But you never know. Yeah,
I know it's it's a big step, but it's a nice step. I really enjoyed going to Hungary and playing with the Masters women. It was good fun, and winning, of course, is always a bonus.
So you can see the last couple of seconds counting down for this game kicking off as we speak. Both teams are springing off that wall, swimming hard at the park. It looks to me like the GB guys won that strike and basically pressed straight down that centre channel against the Australian structure. The Aussies pretty quick to recycle it out and around to the far side there, Nat.
Yeah, so Great Britain in white going left to right, Aussie boys going from right to left in the dark colour. What are the fors and againsts in these? Because they're both pretty similar, aren't they, on the ladder? 5 and 6, was it you said, Stu?
6 and 7.
6 and 7.
Australia having won 3 and lost 3. GB winning 2, lost 4.
Ooh, so what are their against goals? Let's look at their defence line.
All right, so Australia having 10 scored against them and GB having 15. So not that much of a split there, Nat.
No, I mean, it depends who they've played in the lead up, whether they've had more hard games than the other. But 10 and 15, okay, we're looking at a fairly similar strong back line. Let's see what their forwards can do and if they can connect and penetrate.
Yeah, that's right. It always is good to see some penetration happening in the games as the GB guys press their advantage and put a lot of attacking pressure on the Australian defence. The Aussie defence in this case up to the challenge as they drive that puck out to their right, to the far side of the court. A vigorous contest happening at the moment in the pool, Nat.
Yeah, it is. And Jimmy, I appreciate your comment there. Yeah, it was time to move on. Excellent. Okay, so yeah, it is tight in the corner. GB... looks like Aussie have got possession and driving it up, but that looks like an infringement's been called as well, so the momentum will be lost.
Yeah, so James Martin tuning in from probably the comfortable lounge room that he's got going there down here in Hobart, Tasmania. Obviously choosing not to come into the pool to watch the game live, but just basically sitting back, probably with a packet of chips open, maybe scratching his tummy and just enjoying this
look, I've
lovely
got a vision
streaming.
Of that, Stu. You've just created. I reckon it's a hairy tummy too. Knowing, yeah, I know Jimmy well enough to say I think there's a bit of hair action. So just a good scratch.
Maybe he's got Kaido sitting next to him on the couch there, and he's just sort of having a nice little relaxing morning as we see these Aussie under-23 guys having to put in a lot of defensive effort to keep these GB attackers at bay here. GB very energetic in this first 5 minutes as the Australians get some free court here. Unfortunately for that Australian player, the referees were playing advantage for a stick infringement against Australia. So, geez, that Australian player was just at the start of what looked to be like a big breakaway effort there, Nat.
Yeah.
But unfortunately the puck is going to come back, and the GB lads will have an advantage puck deep in their attack.
Nothing more frustrating when you lose that momentum. And the boys both teams have got another game this afternoon, about 5 o'clock this afternoon, so make sure you tune in. We've got Australia playing France and Great Britain playing Argentina.
Yeah, what a great lineup we do have today. Day 5, as we see the refs calling a gloving foul against the GB lads, and it will be an Aussie advantage puck in deep defence on their right-hand side. A lot of really big games going down range today. Turkey versus New Zealand in the under-23 men's division, basically 1 and 2 matching up against each other. Everyone's been waiting for this match, both teams having not lost a game. So It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there now.
It certainly is. So there are 10 teams in this division, isn't there, Stu? So 9 games over the time, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, over the 6 days. So this today obviously is a 2-game day, and we've got one more day of the round robin before we finally seed them for the finals.
Exactly. So New Zealand leading the ladder at the moment, having played 6, won 6, but so have Turkey, played 6, won 6. New Zealand have scored 52 goals for and 3 against, whereas Turkey has scored 32 goals for and only conceded 1 goal in this competition.
Stu, one goal.
You can start to see why I'm so excited about that matchup. Those two teams
5
are going to really
5
come
o'clock
out
today.
hard.
5 o'clock, court 1, and look, I don't know if we'll have anyone calling it. Stu, we'll all be on the pool deck watching that one. But, it'd be a really good game to watch. You
can pretty much guarantee that I will have my leg up and I will be in the commentary box here, Nat.
Yeah, true. Sitting in the big comfy chair, reclining. I wish you could see the vision. It's gold.
I do feel quite comfortable, and it is a good position to call these games. You can see there the Aussies getting an advantage puck. Right next to their sub-bench, the referee calling a free arm against the GB lads. Obviously, they're getting a little bit excited there, trying to create some attacking movements. The Australians setting up in a typical 3 across forward setup there. I reckon they're just going to drill it straight into that. As you can see, that Australian defender not turning me into a liar here as the GB guys take that puck over into the centre channel again. And as the buzzer goes once again, gloving and chopping against the GB lads, and another advantage puck here for the Aussies now.
Yeah, how are we going with the Aussies in the sin bin there, Stu? I watched the under-19 boys, and they played with 5 just about the whole game against Argentina last night. So how have they been going with keeping out of the bin, out of the bench?
Yeah, they've had a few in there. I don't think they're not in the top. They're not in the top list of countries that have been spending a lot of time in the bin. I know the Turkish guys in the under-23 division definitely love a bit of sin bin time. And the South Africans as well, they don't mind sitting in the sin bin either. And I think sort of maybe the third country maybe Colombia, I think, in this division, getting a few minutes clocking up in that statistic category. You can see
look,
there.
You've got to draw a bit of a parallel there, don't you, by where they are on the ladder and how much time they spend in the bin. It just doesn't seem to... It just doesn't seem right. Less players in the water, higher on the seating. I don't know. That just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, it's strange, but the Turkish guys are very good at playing with numbers down and still keeping the pressure on. As you can see there, the GB guys again pressing and attacking advantage. Australians having to give ground just to keep possession here. And at the moment anyway, in this first 6 minutes of this first half, definitely all GB attack and all Australia defence there, Nat.
Yeah, and we know the Aussies have a brilliant defence. They don't mind using the whole pool to regain possession. They do give a bit of ground, but we've still got that possession, which is nice. And it's all smart hockey.
Yeah, you can see the Aussie boys just sort of keeping it real there in defence. They've got good numbers on the bottom, good rotations occurring in defence.
Oh, very nice.
The GB lads really trying hard to create some attacking opportunities here, but the Australian boys in defence looking at the moment very strong. Good body position, good numbers on the bottom, good rotation, and nullifying a lot of those GB attacking moves.
Yeah, look,
now.
and on the wall there's only one GB player going in, trying to rip it off, and you can see the other GB players setting off him more towards the centre of the pool, but they just can't get that cross. So well done, Aussie, and it's paid off. You've got an infringement against GB, I think. And they're setting up towards the middle of the pool, Stu.
Yeah, okay, that's right. They are setting up, and it looks like they are taking that puck over to the far side of the court with a very close followed GB pack of 2 or 3 forwards following that puck. Now over in the far side corner, so unfortunately for the Aussies, they didn't manage to find any space. The GB lads very quick to get onto that. Hard to throw a switch off an advantage puck, Nat.
Yeah, it looked like he actually threw it to the forward. The forward just launched it straight back to the other halfback. I can't be sure, but I'm really impressed with the Great Britain team because they followed that like a wall, and the Australians couldn't make any ground off that, so they'll be scratching their heads a little bit here, thinking, what are we going to do on this free?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Aussie lads can start to create here. They're being very consistent in defence.
Yeah, there you go. So he drew it up into... Yeah, drew them in, then flicked it off to the half. So he's done the exact reverse on that free, and this time they've made more ground.
Yeah, that's right. They're under pressure, but as Nat said, a good amount of ground. Now the GB structure has established itself, and it'd be nice to see the Aussies actually take it off on a 45, just straightening up a little bit much there with a nice forward switch, under pressure, though, and losing possession as it goes over the far side of the court there, Nat.
Gee, as any coach watching, any players watching that are young and up and coming, these games are terrific to watch because they're so clear. We've got so many cameras in the water. Great coaching tool because everything is so clear. You can see teams, how they're setting up, their strategies, what's working and what's not.
Yeah, that's right. As Casey Hockey on the live chat tells us that she's barracking for the Aussies, go Aussies, and saying she's watching this at school. So nice work there, Casey, to find a little bit of time in your day at school as the GB guys really press the Australian defence. The puck has ended up in the tray. The Australian defensive rotation really breaking down there. Number 4 for GB, just sort of shaking his bat in a very celebratory way there.
I think Rupert Ironside-Smith perhaps. And also Colin, shouldn't you be working, not watching and listening to the live stream?
I'm sure he's managing to balance that equation out there nicely as we're just waiting to confirm which GB player scored that first goal of this game as Nick Martin, the Australian coach, with Greg Stinson there calling a timeout to just have a quick chat to the Aussies. Just under 7 minutes to go. Not a bad time to call a timeout there, Nat.
Yeah, it is, and it's like pulling your trump card when the coaches call a timeout. It's very important to get it right, and it really does it stops the momentum of the opposition and allows your team to regroup. I might just go through the team list for the under-23 boys while there's a timeout. We've got 2 Joe Moss, 3 David Bruce, 4 Rupert Ironside-Smith, love the hyphenated names, 5 Billy Sarsfield, 6 Martin John Turner, 7 Dan Parslow, 8 Adam Coote, 9 Brandon Murray, 10 Neil Roberts, 11 Douglas Samuels, Tom Burgess is number 12, and we love this one, Joseph Fulgowitz-Rildridge, number 14.
Wow, what a coat hanger of a last name, Joseph. Well done for carrying that one around. And I really like old two-dad, number 6 there, Martin John, hyphenated first name.
Yeah,
don't see that very often.
You don't see that very often. I'm not quite, we understand why we hyphenate the surname because, both parents' names are included. That one's got me thinking. We might ask him afterwards.
I reckon the parents just had a little bit of a standoff. Martin and John taking position number 1 for mum and dad there, and they were like, well, you know what? Hyphen is the answer.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if he's got probably got a couple of middle names as well.
I hope so. I hope he's got 6. I know my wife is carrying around 6 name. Her name from Colombia, Ana Catalina Chica Perez Uchevre Uribe. So I challenge anyone out there to beat that if you're not Colombian or South American because that is a proper coat hanger of a full name there, Nat.
Yeah, what did you do with Millie? What's Millie's full, little Millie?
Kept it simple, Emiliana Parkinson.
Emiliana Parkinson, very good. She can always add a few later on if she needs to.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's just say that a Colombian passport has a few more names than that on it. But in Australia, that's what she's called. As Josh McKenzie takes that free puck and drives a nice 45 line across the court with the Australians streaming over there to try and gain some attacking advantage in a game so far with only 4 minutes and 50 seconds to go, where the GB guys have consistently applied a lot of attacking pressure here now.
Yeah, it's good to see it up and attack. It was too long in the Australians' defence. What type of fins are most of the boys using, Stu?
Well, the Australians tend to use mostly Matt Mass Brayer type fins. Every now and again you see a little
here we go. Nice
a good
drive.
Australian pressure on the tray, and I think the puck has been defended by the GB defence, and unfortunately the Aussies won't be happy with that. They really did have a quality opportunity there of coming back to 1-1 against the GB guys, but they are going to have to go back to the drawing board as Reece Milburn from WA says, let's go, boys. Quick reply now. He really is obviously wanting those Aussie boys to get a quick goal here, Nat.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful cross, nice 45 degrees. I think they're going to have to go a little bit deeper if they want to get through this strong Great Britain backline. Another infringement called.
It is an infringement. The referees are pointing at the Aussies, and he's going to have a chat. He's telling him it's obstruction. He's signalling for GB, and it looked to me like he was having to think about whether or not he was going to throw him out there, and he just decided not to, I think, Nat.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's had a little sub, just to kind of refresh, reset, and thank his lucky stars that he wasn't on the naughty chair.
Yeah, that's right. Back onto the fin topic that you were asking me about for, Nat. I know that a lot of Australian players wear Najade fins, which is a major sponsor here at the tournament in the 4th CMAS Age Group World Championship. So well done for Najade for supplying the players with a really high-performance fin there that not only generates a lot of speed but also allows a lot of momentum through left and right movements in the court. I know a lot of players that use them love the snappiness of being able to change direction.
Yeah.
As you can see, this contest between GB and Australia just really not letting up at all. The Aussies starting to dictate a lot more attacking type moves here in this last 3 minutes of the first half, Nat.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they need to do. So it's like back at you, boys. It's like almost a mirror image of what was happening 5 minutes ago, but the Australians have got control. So good pressure. They'll try going up the wall, and so they have gone up the wall, and it looks like...
One of the refs is saying gloving on an Aussie, unfortunately. I don't know why there was a bit of a clap from one of the Australians there. I'm not sure why he's celebrating a no goal and a GB free, but hey, whatever. You know, it's good to be celebrating good competitiveness in the court there, and a good amount of attacking pressure by the Aussies. Unfortunately, just catching the glove there on that last press as the puck went in the tray there, Nat.
Oh, look, fantastic. Look, really good pressure for GB. As you said, you know, coming up the right-hand wall, right-handers, you're bound to pull a glove at some point. It's probably a bit easier to attack from the left-hand side because your stick's on the wall side then. So Aussies, pull it out. Come, bring it round. You know how to do it. We've seen you do it. Use your left half, your off half, and find some space.
Yeah, that's right. As another infringement is called against GB this time, and it is obstruction. And I think that's referee Chris is going to bin one of the GB lads.
Billy.
Also giving him a warning. Number 5 there for GB. What's his name there, Nat?
Billy Sarsfield, and looks like he's just going into a nice warm bench that Rupert has just vacated.
Yeah, naughty Billy. We'll have to spend 1 minute in the bin as the Australians take an advantage puck here from an obstruction on the GB guys. I think there's a timeout or... Yep. Yeah, timeout called by the GB guys this time. You can see the coaches coming into their players in the court there. What a close game between GB and Australia in this first half there, Nat.
Which is what we're expecting. We're expecting it to be a close game. And at this conjuncture in the competition, each team needs a win. They know where they stand on the ladder, and they know that their pathway into the finals. And you want to set yourself up in a good position in the finals. You don't want to set yourself up where, you know, you're towards the bottom of the standing and you're coming up against one of the top teams before you even get to the grand final. So it's important. These last games are really critical.
That's right. They definitely will be. Both teams wanted to come out with a win here and really solidify their position. Obviously, GB carrying 3 less points than the Australian men at the moment on the standings. So very important for GB to get their stuff together in this game and really put their best foot forward heading into the last few games of this round robin competition. As we see the game reconvening here, Australia with the advantage puck putting a nice 45 onto the GB defence, but the GB defence proving up to the challenge as they drive it into that far corner there, Nat.
Yeah, exactly. And as you notice, the pool is nice, and I'm going to plug the pool at the moment. We've got the beautiful Hobart Aquatic Centre. The guys are up. When we finish in the night, they're out there, aren't they? Cleaning and scrubbing and getting it ready. So the pool clarity should stay clear all day, and every morning we rock into the commentary box and think, hallelujah, we can see the whole 25 and 15 metres, especially with our 6 cameras that allow us all different views. So thanks to the Hobart Aquatic Centre.
Yeah, that's right. As this game continues, and on the live chat, I'd just like to put a quick shout-out to Reece, Casey, Colin, Jimmy Martin. If you guys could take a couple of minutes of your day to give us a few bucks for this awesome streaming and setup we've got here at the competition, it would really go a long way to supporting this underwater hockey development of young players in the sport. The more dollars we can get through the donation page, the better. So please jump onto tiny URL / Hobart, I think, championship, something like that. You'll see it on the webpage. The Australians have to seriously defend a good attacking move here by the GB guys. I think the referee is calling a referee timeout. He's going to explain a couple of things here to both teams. Number, looks like to be an Australian is going to go sit in the bin for a minute. It's going to be an advantage puck for GB. And I think the referee, the chief ref, is having a bit of a chat to the refs as well. So it'd be interesting to see what happens here, Nat.
We're not half-time, are we?
Oh, yeah, half-time, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, like Stu was saying, every dollar helps we need to hit a target of $10,000 to cover all the AV equipment, 7 monitors, all the different... You should see this room. It's like... It's state-of-the-art. All the AV equipment for us in here. We've got 6 cameras in each court, so a total of 12 cameras. All the monitors on the stands. So these belong to like underwater hockey itself, not just Tasmania or Australia. Is that right, Stu?
Yeah, so, I mean, Australian Underwater Hockey will own the equipment, but the equipment will be basically supplied to any international competition that wants to use it to supply this quality amount of streaming to make sure that the underwater hockey community and underwater hockey worldwide gets out there to as much public around the world as possible. So not only do we provide the service for the players who want to watch the streaming around the world and the family members and all the people that support underwater hockey, but it goes a long way into getting the message of underwater hockey out there to try and develop the sport around the world there, Nat.
Yeah, no, it's great having our commentary crew speaking, multilingual. We've got Spanish commentary, some French, of course. We've got Afrikaans, and us guys here from Hobart.
Don't forget New Zealand.
Oh yeah, and the bun. Yeah, no, I mustn't forget that as well. So 5 different languages. I've lost my train of thought, Stu.
Yeah, so anyway, we see a minute and a half remaining in this half time. You can see that all the players having a bit of a drink, having a bit of a chill out, and really listening to their quality words the coaches have got to say. I'm sure both coaches, Nick Martin for the Aussies and Graham Fletcher, both elite men's players in their own right. Graham Fletcher being a stalwart fullback in the elite GB team, and actually funny old thing, Nick Martin plays fullback in the Australian elite men's team at the moment as well. So both those lads with a lot of experience, bringing all their coaching powers to bear for their teams here as we come inside the last minute for this halftime break. What an amazingly close competition these two teams have really put on a show for us here now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just having a quick peek at Cork 2, which is also a men's 23 game, New Zealand versus US, I think. And slightly different game in that court, Stu. We've got New Zealand at 10 and US at 0. So, a little bit less pressure, I suppose. 1-0 for this game. This is anyone's game. The door is still wide open.
Exactly, with 20 seconds left in this halftime break. Jimmy Martin coming to the party there on the live chat, supplying us commentators that should already have this information. If you want to donate, please go to GoFundMe /Hobart2017. So thank you very much, Jimmy, for letting us all know what that URL is. And again, please jump on there and give us a couple of bucks as we reconvene this second half of a titanic showdown between the Aussie under-23s and the GB under-23 men's as the swim-off occurs.
They're
GB,
very quick.
They are very quick and easily winning that strike there, Nat.
But look at that regaining of possession from Australia. GB made that little mistake of flicking it through, and once you flick it through, the Aussies can pick it up, swim it a little bit deep, get possession. Although I'm not quite sure what this... was that a...
Yeah, he's saying it was breaking on the Aussies there. So, interestingly, the puck is now going to be taken back to the centre of the court and an advantage puck given to GB. The Australians really
No, I think it's advantage to Australia.
Oh, yeah,
so
there you go.
that's why the GB guy was
one
so
referee
out.
is saying Australia, one referee is saying the other way, and it makes sense that it was the Aussies.
Oh, no, you're right. It is the GBs.
Yeah, very strange, because the Australians arrived late to that puck too, so I don't know how they broke and then just 50% of it out to the middle there now.
Yeah, trying to look inconspicuous as sometimes you tend to do. Now the rest are have been doing a great job all tournament, playing advantage as much as they can to get the flow of the game, but also really stamping their authority. I've seen so many really good calls, and because we can see what's going on as well, it's like, you beauty, great call. Someone thrown out, players reminded of, settle it down, boys, settle it down, girls, and we've had a pretty clean competition. Really few injuries, actually, Stu. I don't think I've seen anyone gashed or broken, or, we're lucky. I know we're a non-contact sport, but, generally you do get a bit of argy-bargy, but we've been pretty lucky this competition.
Yeah, that's right. There hasn't been too many gashes in the competition so far, Nat, and that's always a good thing to keep those cuts, the what would you call it, like the serrations down. It is possible to get a few cuts
lashes.
and lots of bruises whilst playing this sport of underwater hockey. You do get a lot of scratches. There's lots of body contact. Even though the sport is non-contact, it's just basically impossible when you're playing a very competitive style of game like all these teams do.
Yeah.
As you can see, the Australians in that last passage of play really really starting to find some space in the middle of the court there. They brought that puck off the near wall into the space of the centre channel and really started to string some good flicks together, finding their supporting players, and the GB guys just managing to lock it up there in their defensive left-hand corner there, Nat.
Yeah, you can see that kind of change in the tide, Stu. The Aussies are getting more possession, and their style of play, when the Aussies have got it going, they use the whole pool. They just like a troop of dancers. They know each other's moves, and they really make it work. Nice big flick across.
A good flick as the buzzer goes, and you are correct. When those Australian flicks start to link up, it definitely does open up the game a lot. But the GB guys doing a really good job of cutting a lot of that stuff down and really not allowing the Australians to consistently find the space. So all credit to these GB boys. They really are applying a lot of pressure on the Australian under-23 unit at the moment.
We've got three guys ahead of the puck there, right in deep. I think every GB guy is on the bottom, so with Australians. And we've got one just sitting out there in defence. Great clearance by Australia. Yeah, very nice. Good play. Now, the viewing audience on YouTube, the number of minutes being watched, I think, there's 60% boys and 40% girls online as we go live, and mostly from the Southern Hemisphere, which I suppose is because of the time of day.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, over in Colombia or in the South Americas at the moment, it's just gone after 8 p.m. So still a reasonable hour for those guys to watch the games here as Stephen Keegle gets online and asks about one of the Canadian under-19 women's girls. You're right, Stephen. One of the girls didn't finish the game. She had to get out of the pool early with a minor injury that the doctors on the pool side fixed her up with. So it seemed to me like there wasn't any major issues with that particular lass, but she didn't finish the end of the game. But rest assured, I'm pretty sure she is okay.
Yeah.
As the Australians grab that puck and go on a big 45 swim across the court. Unfortunately, as he ripped it back there, they just managed to get a bit of stick onto that.
Yeah, who was that tanned man, Stu?
I think that was Evan Wang. So good swim by Wang there.
Nice, Evan. And Evan, wasn't he a late inclusion to the team?
He did come in late, but I tell you what, that boy can't swim, and he has put in a lot of training in the last 4 or 5 months. As we can see, the Aussies desperately trying to get that puck off that wall and back into the space. As you can see them doing a nice little backwards movement there to the fullback. Fullback just sort of taking his time to pick and move.
Good.
And then drilling it into that centre channel. GB lads up to the task, meeting them there with a nice curl. Met there by the Australian forwards, and they're driving it all the way to the tray here now. It's going to be interesting to see if the Aussies can get a goal in here.
Well, I think the fullback knew that he had a couple of players subbing just out of his peripheral vision onto the right, and he held it really well, waiting for support. So fresh players in, and they looked to centre it, and it paid off. So, what have we got?
Looks to me like it is a goal, number 1 for Australia, putting it in.
Thomas.
So Thomas Milner, the big milk, scoring the first goal for the Aussies in a good comeback under a lot of pressure from the GB guys. We've only got just under 10 minutes remaining in this second half, and those Aussie under-23 lads will be pretty happy about that now.
Yeah, I don't think they're the only ones that are happy. I can see Underwater Hockey Mum up in the stands. Beautiful Sandra Milner. I think just about everyone knows who Sandra Milner is, and it's definitely a go, Tommy!
She does like to cheer for her boys, and Tommy being the younger of her two boys. Jimmy's been doing a lot of work here with us in the voluntary tech box. He knows a lot about all these computers that I have no idea about here. As the game reconvenes, 9 minutes to go. GB again applying some attacking pressure after a goal from the Aussies here, Nat.
Yeah, fantastic. And as you said with Jimmy, Tom actually set up all the overlays. Every single team sheet that all the players that are here, Tommy sat down before the comp started as a player. You know, he gave up that time. He entered all that data into the computers, and now our techies here are able to bring up really quickly who scored the goal, who's in timeout. Jimmy's taking over his role because Tommy's now playing, and Jimmy will be doing that for the finals.
Yeah, that's right. There's a good amount of attacking pressure is applied here by the GB lads, and a lot of really good defensive work by Cam Lewis there, number 4 for Australia. You can pick him out because his knee is strapped. As the GB guys again pushing hard on the Aussies trying to drive it out, and a nice little sort of upside down stick movement there by a GB player to just regain possession. It's very tight here on the back wall. The Australians desperately trying to keep the GB lads out. They've got some good position on that back wall there, and they're really trying to drive that puck
that was nice.
Hard at the Aussies, but they're up to the challenge as they bring it out under their sub bench there, Nat.
Gee, and it's round again. And look, for the Great Britain players, this is the side they want to attack on. This is the side it's harder to defend on. But look, Bonza, Aussies, you've done a great job.
Yeah, a good amount of play there by both teams. Unfortunately, when the Aussies are bringing it out underneath their sub bench, they're just kind of releasing the puck too easily to the GB guys. They're doing a good job of recycling that puck back on a 45 as the Aussies desperately try and regain some space here as they take it over to the far side of the court. They have found a bit of free space to swim. There's only one GB guy over there at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of Australian-style play they can construct here.
Yeah, that was nice. I think that was really smart. I don't think they meant to do it. I think it was a little bit of a spill that went the wrong way, but the fullback or halfback went with the flow, kept it going, and took it away from the GB sub-bench as well, and there was that opportunity to capitalise. And look at this swim. Who have we got here, Stu? Can you tell?
I think that might be Tommy Milliner again, having a proper crack at the outside of the GB structure there. I think he's been held up a little bit on that swim as the puck gets driven all the way into the right-hand forward side for the Aussies. They have a nice flick into the centre channel. They've got possession there, coming all the way under the tray. Unfortunately, that flick I don't think was on. He needed to remain.
To keep that on his stick.
Needed to keep that possession. It's going to be a 2-on-1, the ref has called. A very interesting call there because there was two GB defenders in between the puck and the tray there now.
Yeah, it must have. When he flicked it, I'd agree with you. Spot on, Stu. He should have kept it on his stick because those two GB players just dropped out of nowhere. And but it looked like it's actually worked for him because on that little chip flick, it looks like it's hit someone's forearm. So he'd be thinking lucky. So we've got number 2 for Australia, and I'm not sure who else taking, and number 5, Billy Sarsfield, I think, defending. Nice flick.
Yeah. Very well executed 2-on-1 there, flicking to the advantage side for the Australians. Nowhere near the defending opponent's face, so no chance of a dangerous flick being called there. The referee's onto it as soon as he hit that yellow section of the goal. That's goal number 2 for Australia, and they tear out into the lead here. 1 goal ahead of this very, very slick GB unit. So it's going to be interesting to see how these GB lads respond here with only 6.5 minutes to go in this second half, Nat.
I like your use of the word tear into the lead there, Stu. I think you might be getting a bit ahead of yourself there.
I'm getting a little bit excited for the Aussies, I must admit.
But you're right. The Aussies have seemed to have found their fins, and getting their game style working for them. And now it looks like the Great Britain players are reacting rather than being proactive.
Yeah, they have definitely been pretty good at responding in an attacking way. Both times the Australians have scored a goal, the GB guys have been very quick to apply attacking pressure on the Australian defenders. As you can see, the GB lads again have driven the puck down the court to their attacking right-hand side on that far wall. The Aussies, you can see, rotating hard to try and keep those GB lads as far away from those goals as possible. The referees have seen an infringement here. It's going to be obstruction against GB with just under 6 minutes to go in this game now.
Yeah, exactly. And we're third game in. It's coming up to midday. We've got Argentina and Turkey in the men's division coming up after this. So Turkey, this will be their first game of the day, followed up, like you said, by that hard game against New Zealand. So where are Argentina on the seedings for the men's 23 there, Stu? Can you bring that one up?
So Argentina are in 9th place at the moment with Canada in 10th, USA in 8th, Great Britain in 7th. So, yeah, the Argentinians are a little bit further down the ladder. Aussies in 6th, but definitely within striking range of the Australians, with the Argentinians beating our under-19 men yesterday. Yeah. We know the Argentinians are playing a very good brand of hockey in this competition, Nat.
Yeah, it was gold watching the way they reacted last night when Argentinian boys beat the Aussie boys. There were people jumping in fully clothed. There were tears. We got some beautiful photos on the website of that. It brought tears to my eyes. So well done, Argentinian under-19 boys.
So you can see here there's been a timeout called. So we're just counting down the last couple of seconds of that.
Was it GB that called the timeout there, Stu?
I believe so. Yeah, the GB have an advantage parking just over the halfway line into their attacking half as they take it and press their advantage on that far side wall. The Aussies pretty quick to get there, though. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of attacking move the GB lads try and generate out of that area of the court there. Be very surprised if the Aussies let it out easy.
No, that's right. I think Nico wouldn't have said much in that timeout because he knows his boys are pointing in the right direction. But the Great Britain coach would have been the one that did all the talking. So Graham would have been resetting his players. Come on, boys, 2-1 down. There's still a crack. There's still a light there. But Nick, I think, would be feeling pretty confident that his boys are getting their act together.
Yeah, that's right. The Australian lads just displaying an ability to be able to sort of assert their game plan of finding the space a bit more in this second half of this game. So, as Nat said, I'm sure Nick Martin would have just been telling him to keep up what they've been doing in this second half. As you can see, the Aussies having to defend quite hard in that far side corner there, Nat.
Yeah, look, Graham would be pretty happy with what's happened after this timeout. You often find after a timeout that the team that called it, they managed to, pull something out and get it right up there on the tray. So Graham would have told these guys exactly what he wants them to do, and we should be seeing Great Britain make a really good shot at goals.
Yeah, the Aussie defence has proven to be quite pressured by the GB guys. You can see a really quick movement by the GB lads. They took it straight at that corner, basically square, right along the line of the Aussie defenders, and they just managed to find a bit of space. They drew it straight across into the centre channel and just flicked it straight into the tray there. The Aussie guys will not be happy with how that played out now.
Nice, Stu. And tell me, how hard is it on that flick when you're swimming from, you're a right-hander and you're swimming from the right to the left there. You're kind of square against the goals. How hard is it to get that flick off when you've got two guys on you?
Very difficult, and a very nice goal there. I believe that was number 3, David Bruce, for the GB guys, squaring it up at 2 apiece. As a timeout is called, not surprisingly, by the Australian coach. Just over 4 minutes to go, and it's anyone's game, as you can see here, as the scores are all tied up with an amazing passage of play there by the GB lads to draw level with this Aussie team, and anyone's game at the moment, Nat.
Yeah, spot on, Stu. And like I said, you just can't underestimate when you call that timeout. It's like, you're playing a game of cards and it's your trump card. You keep that left bower there, you keep the joker there, and that's what the timeout is. It definitely the joker.
Yeah, the GB lads just managing to keep the Australian defence napping. I mean, most Australian teams would be pretty confident in their defensive corners to be able to defend, particularly somewhere near the back wall. Any kind of movement the opposition has, we certainly pride ourselves on that. And in that case, the GB guys definitely had the answers as we see this game continue. GB convincingly winning that strike and just choosing to flick it at the Australian structure. The Aussies pretty quick to take it out to that far side of the court there, Nat.
Yeah, I think if you're going to launch it off the strike there, if you're going to launch it through the forward line of your opposition, you've got to have the players there to put pressure on them straight away, and that probably needs to be tightened up a little bit, GB. You don't want it to flick through into the opposition's defence, because what are they going to do? They're going to pull it in and go wide and stop your momentum.
Yeah, interestingly, they flick it. The Australians take it out that far side, but then again, the GB guys very quick to assert attacking pressure on the Australian defenders. So even though they lost the puck, they did drive that puck down into their attacking half as the Australians switch that play around and bring it underneath their sub-bench. So again, GB applying a lot of attacking pressure, Australians having to soak up a lot of defensive pressure. Again, the referee's calling infringement. It's going to be against Australians here for a stick infringement on number 10 there for Australia, Nat.
Richard Cleary. Okay, big fella, big Richo. I couldn't tell you the percentage of play where it's been most, Stu. I'd say probably 50-50 for both teams.
Yeah, it has definitely swung backwards and forwards, the attacking play being at both ends of the court as the Australians clear that puck over the far side, finding a lot of space out on that 45 as they recycle the puck and come back over to the right. A good swim, but then again a good steal by the GB lads who go on a very nice swim there, straight underneath the sub-bench side. The Australians having to desperately swim back to cut off that swim, and again, tit for tat with less than 2.5 minutes to play in this very tight match here now.
Yeah, nice work, David Bruce. GB have obviously set up ready for those 45s, and they have someone sitting that little bit wider. And David, a really lovely steal, just took it out. Took it. He had no idea you were there, and a nice swim to clear it.
You can see the Aussie defenders just sort of dropping down and trying to flick that puck on 45s forward. There are Australians there, but I'd really like to see those Aussie guys take possession. As the ref's timeout is called and Australians get an advantage puck, I'd like to see the Australians actually concentrate on taking possession, taking a moment to pick the best place to take that puck and find some space. The Australians do not like staying in that centre channel under pressure for too long, particularly when they're way too far away from that attacking goal tray there, Nat.
Yeah, exactly. When you start to attack there and you get a little bit square, you don't want the opposition to be taking it around the outside of you. Nice, that's spot on. That's exactly what you're saying, Stu, wasn't it? Flick it back, reset, go for possession rather than just smashing heads, really.
Yeah, that's right, it was. But again, that Australian guy that got that puck basically did not swim anywhere. He kind of like saw the defenders coming at him and then waited and then just flicked the puck back into the centre channel. He needs to move. He needs to draw those defenders off their line, and then he needs to find a good option to the advantage of the Aussie team. So as we see the referees pull up an infringement for what it looks like to be a knockdown from the arm of the Aussie players, the GBs get a reprieve and an advantage puck in their defensive half here, Nat.
Yeah, spot on. And I think for anyone listening or, anyone that's going to be watching this later on, especially from a coaching point of view, what Stu said is, it's just spot on. Tell that to any new player. You don't stop when you get the puck and think about it. You keep moving, because in that process of keeping on moving, you're going into space and then you can execute your move, not under pressure.
You see the Aussies bring it back around the outside of that very well-positioned GB player there. The buzzer goes. It looks to me like referee number 4 is warning an Aussie player perhaps for a bit of obstruction on that GB forward. So the GB's again getting an advantage puck with just over a minute to go in this game here now.
Yeah, lucky, no one was thrown out again in that situation. So, yeah, well done the refs, making good calls, keeping everyone in the water and also keeping it nice and fair.
Yes, the GB lads are electing to attack straight at the defensive structure of the Aussies here as we just tick over a minute to run in this game. The Australians getting a nice swing through the centre channel. A big swim. You can see the GB defenders swimming back there and trying to just sort of get in between and behind the Australian structure to try and stop this drive as they recycle it through the centre channel, desperately trying to gain some kind of advantage. They've got good position here as the referees call an infringement. It looks to me like it's going to be, unfortunately for the Aussies, obstruction against them. Yeah. GB guys getting the advantage puck. So, wow, let off the hook there for the GB guys, Nat.
Yeah, I think the Aussie guy trying to do it all on his own and not look for support. He got himself into a situation where lost a bit of possession. The GB player couldn't get through to get to the puck, so it didn't work for him that time.
40 seconds remaining in this game. The GB guys coming out to this near side wall right underneath their sub bench. Australians all on the bottom there trying to generate some kind of attacking move to take this game and make it their own. They're going to only have 1 or 2 more opportunities to do that as a big 45 swim comes. GB lads desperately trying to counteract this move by the Aussies as they come all the way to the tray here. There's a lot of numbers involved and it's going all the way to the goal bin. It's going to be interesting to see if the Aussies can actually get this thing in. It actually looks like it's spilled. It might have gone in. The referees are calling something. I don't know if they're going to call a goal or a free arm.
Oh, no,
it's a free arm, and I think it's going to be... I haven't actually seen which way it's going to go.
Oh, it's against the GBs, I think, Stu. With 14 seconds to go, free puck for the Aussies. Yeah, and if this game finishes 2-2, we don't go into extra time, being the round robin. So it'd be a very good tight game. And it looks like, is that Simon there we've got? No? 1
Looks
minute
like unsportsmanlike. 1 minute, and if that's inside the 3 metre D, it's going to be interesting to see if it's a penalty here.
Yeah,
the referees are nodding their heads. I've seen one referee do a fist pump, and then they're telling the Australians to go away. And I do believe the referees are going to have a chat about if this is actually going to be a penalty shot here, Nat.
Yeah, GB just want to be able to play this one out. They do not want a 2-on-1 called here. Because then the advantage is right swinging into Australia's favour. Not a nice way to finish the game though, Stu. 2-2. It's awful that it comes down in the last 10 seconds to an infringement on the tray. It was anyone's puck, and if it wasn't going to be GB that pulled the foul, I think Australia was in a position to do some gloving as well. So not very pretty.
Well, unfortunately for the Aussies, they're only going to give them an advantage puck, not a 2-on-1, so they'll be pretty unhappy about that as the referees confirm that that's the decision. The Australians setting up for their last attacking move with only 14 seconds to go. GB guys, 1 player down, so anyone's game here. It definitely is not going to be the GB guys that win this game. It's drawn 2-2. And again, the referees are talking about where the puck is going to be put, I think, on the bottom. It's going to be right in front of the goal tray here as the GB lads all start to go to the bottom of the pool.
Still needs to be 5 metres out, though, Stu, doesn't it? So
yeah, that's right.
It's a long way when you've got 10 players in front of you.
Look at the amount of numbers on the bottom there as the puck gets all the way over to the other side of the pool, and the Australians somehow have actually managed to get that flick and just shovel that puck into the tray there. So Unbelievably, the Aussies have actually managed to score a goal with only 6 or 7 seconds remaining in this game. So, unfortunately, the GB lads, a hard-fought game, but it's going to be a win to Australia, 3-2. Just waiting to see who actually is going to get the credit for scoring that match. The GB only having 5 in the water there, and wow, what an exciting finish to this amazing game, Nat.
Yeah, it was an exciting finish, and I don't know if I want to be on the pool deck interviewing these boys, Stu, because they're going to take a little bit to get over this, the GB boys, because there's nothing worse than losing it in the last 10 seconds on a free. We've got Dave Lambert out there just about to pick up the boys actually. So after they've done their cheers, the Aussie boys would have to be pretty over the moon about that finish. And the GB boys are just going to have to regroup. So the GB boys up against Argentina this afternoon. So they'll have time now. They don't need to be back in the water until 6 o'clock tonight. So well done, lads. Great game to call. And thanks to you, Parko, for having me in the commentary box today.
No worries, Nat. It was an amazing game to watch, an amazing game to call. And well done to the Aussie boys on a very hard-fought victory. And commiserations to the GB lads. You did a great job. And unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Unfortunately, this time you managed to snatch defeat out of the joys of victory. And that's it for us in the commentary box. And see you again poolside. Thanks a lot for listening. Cheers.
Well, I'm poolside, and not much time left for a bit of a chat. But I tell you what, another exciting game. We're getting down to the pointy end, and it's really exciting. I'm sure that I'm looking at some of the faces of the Great Britain players and disappointed. 14 seconds, tied at 2-all. A play right in front of the goal tray, and the Australians were victoriously and bringing that home. And I got a couple of players hopefully swimming over the side. We got Connor Mungs. Connor Mungs going to hopefully join us. Come on up, Connor. We only have a couple of minutes left if you want to come and talk to us. I'll have a quick chat with Connor if he can get his fins off in time. And come to Connor. That was an exciting game. 14 seconds left in the game, and you popped one in.
Yeah, they really pushed us that time. I was out of the water when they scored that goal, but the boys really pushed it and did well, so I'm really proud of them.
Hard, fat match to come back from a disappointing loss yesterday. Well done, and get up against one of the top teams in the game in the ladder these days.
Yeah, we regrouped last night and just talked over what we can improve on, and as you see, it worked out, and we got it done, got the job done.
Yeah, congratulations on that. I'm getting signals from the booth that I'm running out of time, but look, any messages you want to pass on to the supporters who are here today for you?
Thanks everyone for coming to watch. Keep coming and cheer Aussie on. We'll do well. Come on, Aussie.
Thanks, Connor, for joining us, and good luck for the rest of the day.